Hello everyone. In this lecture, we will cover the bit in more detail about the introduction to Raspberry Pi, so that you will get the confidence or an idea about how you can go something integrating various sensors and devices with the Raspberry Pi. Okay, so maybe programmatically access the and manipulate them. Okay, so. So these are the topics that we are going to cover now using Gpio pins, which is general purpose input output pins, taking pictures using PI cam. Okay, these are the two different examples or some important aspects where we can understand about a Raspberry Pi more. Okay, so first of all, we are all going to cover how to GPI pins, and then we're going to cover how to integrate this PI camera with the Raspberry Pi for taking images. Okay, so for that, the requirements are, okay, Raspberry Pi, LED, there's a Raspberry Pi, LED, okay, 100 ohms resistor, okay, breadboard, jumper cables. These are cables. Okay, there's a resistor, LED, Raspberry Pi, and a breadboard. So these are the requirements for our basic example. Okay, so point to note is we will be covering both these things on Python. So using Python, we are going to write, or we are going to to execute, to perform some actions. Like we are having different languages, right? So in order to access these, in order to perform these activities and Raspberry Pi, we are going to use the language called Python. Okay, so the programming language will be Python. So since it is quite easy and easy to integrate with Raspberry Pi, we will be performing Python. So first thing we are going to do about the blinking LED light based on the project. Okay, so basic requirements are Raspberry Pi, okay, which should be connected with network. You are going to require LED, the basic 100 ohms resistor, breadboard, and a few jumper cables. Okay, these are the basic requirements of the in order to achieve this blinking of the light. Okay, so installing procedure is, we need will be opening terminal, enter the command studio app, get into install Python dev. To install Python development, enter the command studio app, get installed Python rpi.gpio to install Gpio library. So before we go into this further, let us come back to this Raspberry Pi. We remember from the last lecture, as the power of this device, but I have attached a PI camera. So this module is known as PI camera, and it goes over the side. So so if we will see this kind of situation in Robin wire, okay, we can use Robin wire in order to have a connection. Okay, so it is already available with the PI cam, and blue sided should be pointed towards the Ethernet port. Okay, this is one of the point to remember. You take this white jack. I'll show you. Wait. See, this is how we are going to connect. Connecting the negative terminal to the LED to this ground. Okay, as we have explained in the Arduino programming, right? We have seen in that. So there's a breadboard, LED. These are the cables. Okay, and the resistor. This Arduino, Raspberry Pi is connected with USB cable. Okay, connect the positive terminal on the LED to get an output. Okay, then so basic Python coding will be doing. Okay, so first open terminal, enter the command. Open the terminal and then enter the command. The command is sudo nano filename.py. This will open the nano editor where you can write your code. Okay, so control plus O writes the code to the file. and Control X will exit the editor. These two are the commands which we are going to use. In order to write a code into the file, then you are going to use Control+O. And if you want to exit from the editor, then you're going to use Control X. Okay. And then now you want to import. Okay, you have to import GPIO. What is this GPIO? General purpose input output file. So here we with the help of library files, it is already a predefined library file. We just have to import that library file and then use it for our general in our for requirement. Okay, so import RPI dot GPIO as GPIO input time. Okay, so GPIO dot set mode. First we are going to set with the board. GPIO dot setup with the pin. If you can recollect with the Arduino, it is very similar. Yes or no? See, GPIO dot setup mode and GPI dot setup. Okay, set mode and setup mode. Set mode is used to connecting with the board. Okay, and setup is that the pin which the input and output data is going to be transferred. Okay, suppose my range is from from 0 to 5. The range is from 0 to 5. For that, I'm initializing I in the range of 0 to 5. So now GPIO dot output at the 11th pin, I'm making it as true so that it is going to be enabled for 1 second. Like 1 is for time period. This is the time. 1, 2, these two are the time periods. Like if I'm giving 1, it is going to wait for 1 minute, 1 second. If I'm giving 2, it is going to wait for 2 seconds. Okay. After that, GPIO dot output dot 11 true. Okay. After completing our complete task, we are done with everything. As we have seen the blinking of LED light. Now we are going to close it. So GPIO dot cleanup. So now look at this editor. Import RPI.GPIO as GPIO. Okay, this is how you're going to write the code. Okay. See, this is what are the output as which we are expecting actually. So that the program we have written in Python, and this is the output that we can see. Okay. This is a Raspberry Pi, right? Cable, resistors, and LED light with a USB cable connected. Through this cable, which we are connecting, we are writing in our system. The program is written in the computer or a PC. That after writing it, we are connecting to this board. Okay. Then now this board will transpose the signals to this LED. So now we'll move on to this. As we have seen this LED right side. So how we have to write the code and how we have to dump it into the devices, and we achieve this LED lighting, like the goal which we were expecting has done. So now we'll move on to the next thing, that is capturing image using Raspberry Pi. Okay, for this we require Raspberry Pi as one thing, and the other one is Raspberry Pi camera. Okay, these two are those. These are the two things which are required. Okay, now Raspberry Pi camera. We'll just have some glance about what exactly this camera is about. It's a specific camera module, dedicated CSI slot in SPI for connection. It means we have there is a slot in that Raspberry Pi where you are going to insert this camera for connection. The cable slot is placed between Ethernet port and HDMI port. Okay, in between Ethernet port and HDMI port, this cable is going to be inserted. Okay, now see how this connection is made. Boot the PI once the camera is connected to PI. See, here this is an Raspberry Pi. Here we are connecting the camera. Okay, these are the two pictures where you can analyze better. Okay, then configuring PI for camera. Okay, how to configure and what are the requirements for this? So first in the terminal, the command we are going to give sudo raspi config and press enter. After that, navigate interfacing options. Navigate towards what? Interfacing options. Okay, click on that. Later, click on the option called camera. Enable the camera. Now reboot Raspberry Pi. Very simple. Okay, please just analyze what exactly I mean to say. See, terminal is going, you are going to open the terminal where you're going to give a command called sudo raspi, okay, config, and then you are going to press enter. Now going to navigate this interfacing options, okay, and then press enter. Later next, in that you are going to select the camera as your option. Okay, so after selecting that, you are going to enable the camera and then reboot the Raspberry Pi. See, this is how you are going to make it. Interfacing options. Okay, under that you're going to get the list of options. In that you're going to select what? Camera, and then click on select. Right? Then now capture image. Open terminal and enter command. This is a command that we are going to give. This will store the image as image.jpg. Image.jpg. Okay. Then PA can also be processed using Python camera module. Okay. There's a Python camera module which we are going to install in that. So now by Python code is import pic, that is pi camera. Now camera is your object where you are going to, this is a variable and you are going to write pi camera dot pi camera, where this is going to capture the image. That image is stored in the camera, right? So look at this. This is how you are going to write, and the image, whatever it capturing, this is the image. Okay. After writing this program and after you run the program, you can see this picture as your output. Okay. This is what about the introduction part of Raspberry Pi. Okay, as we have completed the first part of this third unit, and the second part is implementation of IoT with Raspberry Pi. We'll continue this lecture in our next video. Thank you.